The morning sun rose in the sky, painting streaks of gold in the fields of corn, just as it had done for the last 4 generations. I stood on the porch of my grandfather's farm, sipping black coffee, gazing at the familiar sight of the crops swaying gently in the wind. This place was my home, where my father, John Coleman, had worked tirelessly until the day he died. Now it was my turn to take care of it. My day started as it usually did that week, until I saw the envelope. It was sticking out from the front door, with the bank's logo stamped on it in bright red. My hands shook as I opened the note and read the words, "Foreclosure notice." The farm was being claimed because of debts that I did not know about. I had no idea what the message meant, but upon reading it again and again, my suspicions grew. $200,000 in debt, payments defaulted on, and a future auction of the land in 30 days. My heart raced as I gripped the paper. Who would do such a thing? I never took a single loan. I always paid my taxes, and I lived a modest life. I did not understand how any of this could happen to me. I drove to the bank where Mr. Harrison, the local branch manager, greeted me with an uneasy smile. I thrust the notice towards him, and the smile vanished from his face. "James, I understand your concerns, but the loan was approved under your name," he said, sliding a contract across the table towards me. I took a good look at the signature at the end of the document, and my blood ran cold. "This signature doesn't belong to me," I hissed, eyes narrowing at the man. "Someone forged my signature on this." Mr. Harrison crossed his hands over his chest in a defensive gesture. "If that's the case, then we can halt the process immediately." A million thoughts swirled in my head as I left the bank. Someone was trying to ruin my life and take everything I loved from me. They would pay dearly for what they had done. The next morning, I drove 3 hours to the city to visit my brother, Leo. He lived in a rundown neighborhood near the edge of the district. When he opened the door, I took in the disheveled state of him with a silent gasp. His eyes widened when he saw me. That was all the confirmation I needed. "James, what are you doing here?" He stepped back when I shoved the bank document in his face. "Tell me this isn't you." He glanced at me, confusion flooding his features before he burst out laughing. "You really think I would do something like this? You're crazy, brother. Crazy. The bank is taking our farm, Leo. Dad's farm." I shot back furiously. "Do you not care at all?" His face twisted in anger. "Why should it all be yours? Why does Dad get to give everything to you? I'm his son too, and I want something of my own." "Something of yours," I repeated, stepping closer to him. "You forged my name to get money, Leo. You stole from me and Dad just to get richer." Leo scoffed and waved his hands in the air. "I was drowning in debts, James. Trust me, I didn't want to do this. All I wanted was just enough to get myself out of my troubles. But you were too greedy to even consider helping me. You put everything at risk, Leo. Everything Dad worked for, everything Mom had hoped for. You were willing to take it all just so you could get a little bit of money." His gaze dropped to the floor. "I figured if they took the farm, we could split the insurance money and have enough for a while." I took a step back in horror. He was truly lost to me. "And I'll make sure you pay dearly for what you've done," I hissed as I turned around to leave, but his voice stopped me. "What are you going to do, James? It's your word against mine." I narrowed my eyes at him. Did he not know who he was talking to? Did he not know what I was capable of? "You forget one thing, brother. Dad gave me the original copy of this land in a safety deposit box," I stated evenly. That document proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that you stole from me. That document has the signatures and stamps of many people, ones you can't replicate, not even at your best." I turned around and left the angry man fuming in his doorway. I had won the first round of our bitter fight. Leo was a stranger to me now. I could barely remember the little boy he used to be, the brother who once chased after me in my grandfather's fields. As my heart ached at the thought, I reached out to the only friend I knew I could trust. Sarah Miller was the best lawyer in the county, and she answered my call at precisely 9 in the evening. She came to my house the following morning, where she sat, flipping through many old documents with a thoughtful expression. By the end of the day, her eyes had widened at the amount of evidence she had found. "James, this is amazing," she said with a grin as she looked at the paper I handed her. "Your father's signature, the stamps, and the county seal, everything proves that this land was never given to anyone else. If this man you work with took out a loan using your forged signature, the bank had no reason to approve it." My heart soared at the sound of her voice. "So this means we can stop the auction, right?" "We can do more than that, James," she said with a determined look in her eye. "We can find out who is responsible for this forgery and make sure they pay dearly for what they've done." With that, we set to work. Sarah contacted Mr. Harrison to get every single document that had to do with our case. She received many letters from him with various explanations, but she never gave up. In the end, it was finally Sarah who arranged for a meet with the higher officials in the bank. I walked into the regional office with the original copy of the deed and a handwriting expert. The official looked at the signature under a magnifying glass with the expert, comparing it to my signature from my tax forms. Whoever signed this knew Mr. Coleman's signature very well, but they made a few mistakes nonetheless. The handwriting expert said at last, "It looks like whoever did this tried their best to forge your signature, James. They were probably trying to trick everyone in the bank." Mr. Harrison's face was as red as a tomato, while his ears burned in embarrassment. He knew that what he had done was wrong. "Please, James, let's just forget about all of this, Mr. Harrison murmured, wringing his hands together nervously. "I can cancel the auction and everything." "No," I interrupted, my voice firm. "You almost took my land because of your carelessness." I shot back. "My brother manipulated you, but you still didn't do your job." Mr. Harrison gave a small sigh. "I'm sorry, James. Truly I am," he said quietly. "Please, just allow me to make it up to you." Even though the fight with the bank was over, I knew my bigger war was just getting started. It was with my brother, the man who had turned against me. As I thought about everything he had done, I realized one thing: I knew nothing about him. When Sarah placed a hand on my shoulder, I felt the sorrow within me lift slightly. "We have enough evidence to press criminal charges against your brother, James. Do you want us to?" I wanted justice to be served, but there was still a small part of me that understood why my brother had done what he did. "He lost everything in his life," I said softly. "Maybe he wanted to hurt me so that he could feel better about himself." "Justice will still be served, James," Sarah said firmly. "We just have to give him time to realize what he's done." I nodded, already feeling better about the situation. "Let's save the farm first. Then we can take care of the rest." I was ready to fight for everything I loved. Within 2 days, the bank had canceled the auction. They officially released the notice from the farm, and I was triumphant. But our war with the bank was far from over. The big hearing was the following day, and I knew what awaited me. The sky was gray as I stood in the courtroom. gripping the original copy of my grandfather's land deed tightly in my hands. Across from me, my brother sat with his head down, wearing a cheap suit that barely fit him. Sarah stood by my side, giving me a reassuring smile. She laid out the details of our case before the judge, and the handwriting expert explained everything. Mr. Harrison was called upon as well, and he admitted fault in what had happened. The judge listened silently as he examined every piece of evidence. Finally, it was Leo's turn to speak. I took advantage of James. Leo admitted, looking up at me with remorse in his eyes. I wanted to hurt him because I was always jealous of him. He had everything I wanted, but I never had any of it. A few tears slid down his cheeks as he continued. I wanted to get out of my debts and misery, so I forged his signature on purpose. I never thought about how much it would hurt him or Dad. I made so many mistakes, but I'm sorry, James. I'm sorry for everything I've done to you and Dad. The judge sentenced Leo to a few months of community service and instructed him to pay back the money he took. He also ordered him to stay away from me for a few years. It was a light punishment, but I knew he would soon receive a much heavier one. When the judge asked if I had anything to say, I stood and looked over at my brother. Leo, I forgive you for everything you've done, I said quietly. It doesn't change the fact that you hurt me and Dad, but I can't let this consume me for the rest of my life. The farm is safe, and Dad's legacy lives on. However, our brotherhood is gone, and maybe it was supposed to be this way. Leo looked shocked as he wiped his tears away. The guards led him away from the courtroom, and I felt a wave of sadness wash over me. That night, I walked the cornfields all alone, taking in the beauty of the world around me. My heart was full as I knelt down and touched the soil with my hands. I had truly saved it, and in doing so, I had saved my promise to my grandfather. But the victory tasted somewhat bitter as I thought about everything that had happened. I was glad to have saved the farm, but I had lost my brother in the process, and that would take me much longer to heal from. Sometimes I think family is more than just blood, and other times I believe it is not at all. My brother had tested me in many ways, but this was the final trial. In the end, I had been able to forgive him, but I still struggled with the pain it caused me. I stood and brushed the dirt from my knees. I did it, Dad. I whispered to the wind as I looked out over the fields. I saved the farm. Maybe he was smiling when he heard my response.